Hola, ¿cómo estás? I think there's only one way to start this week's episode, and it's with the halftime show. I finished last week's episode talking about the Super Bowl and saying that the halftime show, I think, is becoming a bigger cultural thing than it's ever been, I think. I think since last year, really, it's always been a big thing. Clearly, there was Michael Jackson did it, and Paul McCartney's done it. Probably, I was going to say bigger. Who's bigger? I mean, I've just mentioned Michael Jackson and one of the Beatles. That's probably as big as you're going to get. And then there, I think, was a shift last year when Kendrick Lamar did it, because well, one, it was so good, and then there was the whole Drake song he did. It became such a big thing the next day online. So this Bad Bunny decision was obviously spoken about probably more than any other on the build-up, or in the build-up. Which one is it? But anyway, so I think it was always going to be spoken about. But wow, I assume even if you haven't watched the game or didn't have any interest in the game, you've probably seen it. Now, the Super Bowl was on too late for me, so I actually got up the next morning. I turned all the notifications off my phone so that I set my alarm so that when I turn my alarm off in the morning, I think I set it for like 7:30, I could get up and just spend 3 hours watching the Super Bowl on the Monday morning. And I kept my phone out the room. And so you never know how you're going to find out. Instagram, of course, would let you know. Then even, I don't know, I start to worry that, even like a podcast notification might come up and then it will just be telling me who'd won. So it's taking me ages to let you know that I basically kept my phone out of the room. Anyway, so I watched the halftime show, not in real time, but live, as in how it would have been seen during the game. And I'll be honest, feel bad admitting this, but I did actually at one point think I might go and make breakfast while that bit's on. I just didn't know if it was going to really mean anything to me. But so in the end, I didn't. I stopped and I just watched it. And I couldn't believe how quickly I went from, this doesn't mean anything to me, to this is one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. Like, just him before the adverts, they just showed him walking out. And usually the artist, I slightly regret saying artist, like whoever's performing. Anyway, they're hidden within the the scenery or whatever. They've got them in a box or something, and then they pop out. So Michael Jackson did the most famous one, right, where he just jumps out, then he's just stood there for ages, and the crowd is going crazy, and he just stands perfectly still. I actually watched a documentary with one of the players from that Super Bowl in it, and he said that they were all going back to the locker room for half time, and he thought, I just need to see a bit of MJ. And then Michael Jackson comes up and he does this thing. He sort of jumps up through the center of the stage, then just stands there perfectly still for so long. You've probably seen it. Anyway. And everyone was going crazy. And then this player was saying, he was the only one going, hurry up, do something. I've got like a minute to watch you. He was the only one annoyed that he wasn't doing anything. But Bad Bunny just walked out in a very cool outfit, and he's just walking out with people. It just felt more one of the people, had this confidence. So I was like, oh, okay, this looks like it might be good. Then we all saw the human grass like running out onto the field, which I then thought the grass was going to be dancing. But it seems like maybe, and they've become a bit of an internet sensation since as well. It seems that maybe the reason people were in the grass is because it was the quickest way to get it on and off the field. But I'm not sure if that's the case, but it seemed that way. Anyway, the whole thing, the way it was done, was just, it was so cool. I was blown away. So later that day, I filmed a video of the reaction of watching it and how it went for me. Genuinely didn't think it was going to do that well. I'll be honest, I predicted in my head, I thought, if this gets about 6 or 7, hand thing, 100 likes in the first hour, that'll be nice. I think it got 12,000 in the first hour. And what was crazy was I made it because I thought it was just a funny take of what it was like to watch it and then be so converted that cut to speaking Spanish and dancing. Anyway, it was people like thanking me for it, and then it became a thing of people saying, this is the correct response, this is how people should respond. And oh yeah, can't quite believe it. And it went big on Instagram, big on Facebook, and big on YouTube. I think TikTok was the only one it didn't, but TikTok's weird. I didn't even have TikTok on my phone. In fact, I downloaded it just to upload the video because I thought it might be a good one for it to go on. Let's see how it did. Yeah, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I slightly regret that now. It's got more than I thought. It's got... Okay, now it just seems like... I hadn't checked, I'll be honest. I posted it and it was a bit slow at the start and I didn't go back. It's got almost 800,000 views, but the others are in the like millions on Instagram or something. So I'm sorry, that sounds really bad now. I didn't mean that. I'm not just like being blasé about that many views. I just I didn't realise it had done well. TikTok's a weird one anyway. I feel like because I don't often have the app on my phone, I think they punish you. I think they're so aware that if you if you post a video and then you close the app down, it's almost like they're punishing you for not really being on the app. I'm talking quietly like they're listening. They probably are, actually. Still got the app, so they probably are. Just gonna have a sip of my tea. So this is Had Worse Mondays. I have 2 things I always do. One is that I make sure the episode is 53 minutes long, and that's because one person commented that that's their commute to work. I also kept thinking, what time do I put this out? And you want it to be there Monday morning, but of course I'm just thinking about people in the UK. So I realised, well, if I put it out at, say, 4 o'clock in the morning, just so it's there ready for people, that means over in Australia that could be up to like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. I think that's right. And then but then in America it comes out Sunday evening. So I was trying to find the right thing. Anyway, I think I went with 3 a.m. last time, and then a postman. Postman is the one job that's not become policeman became, then people said, oh yeah, of course, police officer. Fireman became firefighter. Is postman just, you don't say post officer, do you? So is that the only one that stayed? They're still just postman. He can comment. There's a postman, basically, or post officer, I don't know. A guy who delivers post. Oh no, guy. A post deliverer. Commented, and he said that he is up at 3:30, so he thinks he's the first person to listen. So I'll make sure it's always out at 3:30. So it made it easier for me. I don't have to. If there's anything I can do with this podcast to accommodate you, let me know. I'm just looking out my window now, and Richard Parker, my cat, is up on the fence, just sort of staring at me. Rightfully, I guess, because I am sat in a room on my own talking to myself. So if he is confused, he has every right to. He's jumped, I think, is he? No, he's about to jump down into the tree. He might be coming in. Oh, he's having a stretch from the fence over to the tree. Now he's in the tree. Now he's coming down. He made a jump. And yeah, he's coming in. 1 second. Okay, you're going to hear me do my cat voice. Okay, mister. Yeah? Yeah? Anything going on out there? I think he's going to want feeding. I'm not sure what he wants. He's on a bit of a diet at the minute. When I went away and he had a cat sitter. I'm not sure if he got bigger when she was here or if it was actually me feeling guilty about being away for a week and giving him more food. But my mum came over last week and she made a comment about his weight. It's like a classic mum thing to do, to come over and comment. But also she came over with a brand new MacBook. She hadn't even got it out of the box yet. So they came over and it was me setting that up for longer than I care to admit. In fact, we couldn't log into her Apple account for so long that in the end I created a new email for her and we just started again. And then she mentioned, I said the good thing about this now, having this MacBook, is that when you travel, you can just use the same charger for both. But it turns out she had the old iPhone. So I said, actually, I was thinking of upgrading my iPhone so you can have mine. So I think then we thought, if you're getting a new MacBook and a new phone, we can just start again and you can start with a brand new Apple ID thing. So that then sped me up to get a new phone. So I've got this one, which is the orange one. And the reason I did that is, well, the other one, I kept running out of memory. And it was so bad for memory that I kept... the podcast app would just close. If I was like driving, listening to a podcast, it was almost like it couldn't handle it anymore. And it just shut everything down. So I think that one had 128 gigabytes. Anyway, this one's got over 500, so I should be safe. And then I'll give her that other one and then reset it. I don't think my mum would need 128 gigabytes. I don't know what she uses the phone for. We actually play a Facebook game. There's a Facebook word game. I don't even know how you get it. It's like a thing that technology is often a younger person helping an older person until it comes to Facebook. Then I've got absolutely no idea what I'm doing on there. It just confuses me so much, Facebook. I think it's because I left it for so long. But my mum clearly didn't. So there's like some word game we like pass over to each other that when she's taken her go, I then take my go and we compete. It's good fun. I don't know what it's called. We'll try and find out what that's called. Word Blitz? I think it's Word Blitz. So Richard Parker's trying to get my attention. Are you hungry? Yeah? See if I can get him to speak on the podcast. Do you want to say hello? Nope. He just tried to chew on the microphone. But I might have to give him food. Do you want to come up? Why don't you come up and say hello first? And then you can earn some food. Hold on, I'll put the microphone down. I'll pick him up. So this really does only work if you're oh, he's actually just knocked the camera over there. So, oh God. Okay, that must have made you jump. He was I've got the microphone, the camera up on a stand, and he rubbed up against it like a cat does, and he's not like that. I think he wants to go out now. Do you want to go out? Yeah, that's probably freaked him out a bit. Go on then. Oh, he's really gone. Didn't like that, but anyway. Cool. So sorry. I never know how this is going. By the way, put that back. Well, at least it's still recorded, so I'm sure that you got all the action captured there. Word Blitz. It's just a fun game. I don't really. I think it's the only reason I still have Facebook is to play that game with my mum. Yeah. So I think we were at a party once, and she was doing it on her phone, and I asked what it was, and it was a game that she plays with her friend Sue in Canada, and then I asked to join in. So now I play with my mum, and I play with Sue every now and again. So yeah, it's just me and the and the boomers playing some word games on Facebook. Genuinely the only reason I have oh, that's weird. A message from someone that used to be I think he was a team leader when I worked at Legoland. But he said he's unsent a message. That was the update. So that's always worrying, isn't it? I joined Cameo this week. Cameo DM'd me on Instagram, the guy, Jack, and just asked if I'd be interested. They had messaged a few times in the past, and I kept ignoring it. And then I thought maybe I should give it a go. And it's good fun. It's nice. I don't know how to set the price because you don't want to charge too much for just me making a video. But then, you know, quite a few came in, and suddenly it's sort of I had a day off, and then I just had a day making like 15 videos. I haven't got through them all. I've been doing it for the last 3 days because it's been Valentine's, so you end up doing a few Valentine's videos for people, but they're good fun. What I do like is people will say something like, "This is for Lisa," and Lisa likes these. They give you a bit of context, then you get to do whatever. So sometimes it's my captions, sometimes I've had people say, "Oh, they've got a dog called like Rex, for example, and we love you if dogs could talk." So you take that information, and I'm just being Rex, I guess. One lady, it was so lovely, bought one for herself, and that was so cool. She just said, "Could you be my cat?" Trying to wake me up in the night, and I was like, "I've never done that video. It's a good idea." So I did that, and actually, while I was filming the video, Richard Parker, my cat, was actually asleep on my bed, so I was actually waking him up while I was doing an impression of a cat. I mean, that sounds madder than it is. I wasn't, I just talk like me, but then I just say things that a cat would say. I wasn't. I'm not filming myself on my bed. It sounds weirder than it is. It does. Just so you know, it sounds weirder than it is. Now, what has happened is somebody actually commented on this podcast. I think it was on Spotify last week. And I think it was he, said that one of his favourite bits was me mispronouncing things. Oh no, it was the post officer. Great pod again. Oh, sorry, I'll just be reading out my compliments and reviews, but this is just a comment. I like to think I'm one of the first to listen, as I start listening at 3:30 a.m. on Mondays as I deliver newspapers for a few hours every morning. Oh, he's not even a postman. He's a newspaper delivery person. Oh, that's cool then. Just deliver newspapers. I'd love a job like that. That or like milkman. That's the other one. That's still man, isn't it? Milk man. I'm going to just say because it's the thing. That is something that the world took a step backwards on, because it is an electric vehicle, reusing the bottles, delivering milk. It's so environmentally friendly. And I'm sure now they can deliver vegan milk as well. It's sort of crazy that went backwards. That should be the big thing. And you imagine people in the countryside probably still do it, I would have thought. But you think people in London, in cities, would love that because they sort of like doing things that they do in the country in the city, like keeping bees or drinking obscure bit, or like making their own beers or like growing beards. But anyway, he said, "I love counting out how many times you missay words. This week's highlight." Now, actually, Chris, what you meant to say here was this week's highlight word for me was, but you actually put world. So you've miswritten a word, Chris. So right back at you. This week's highlight word for me was, okay, now I said agency, didn't I? But clearly that's not right. Was it agency? Agency? It sounds like agency. How to say agency? Let's find out then. Agency. Yeah, I was saying agen. Oh, here we go. Oh, Google will tell me.
Aegean Sea.
Aegean Sea. Oh, okay, Aegean Sea. Been there so many times, and I've just been calling it the Aegean Sea. Was that what I was calling it? You know, when you learn how to actually say it, you can't remember what you were saying. I mean, me not being able to remember what I'm saying is sort of my life / this podcast. It is nice to get in touch. Thank you for the film recommendations. I was asking for what films I should be watching, and so I was messaging a few people about those. Some of them tied it in nicely with me going to New Zealand. Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet came up, and that is a film I was actually talking about last week. We got to watch that in school, and I wish they'd just got Baz Luhrmann to go, can you do them all, please? Can you do all the Shakespeares? You can go off and do other stuff. You can make your film about Australia, and you can make the Elvis film, and what else did he do? Was Chicago his? What's Chicago? Moulin Rouge was his. Maybe Chicago probably wasn't then. Moulin Rouge was. He should have just every now and again given us a Shakespeare film that we could understand. That was great, wasn't it? I've not watched that new show that Claire Danes is in, but I know there was a big thing online, people doing an impression of her from her acting. But it seems to be that people love her acting, but also can do a very good impression of it. I wouldn't watch the videos because it didn't make any sense, but I would see stuff like Claire Danes getting home with the food shop, and she'd just be acting it out. So it didn't mean anything to me, but people online liked it. But that's her new show on Netflix. I'm really struggling with a new show to like watch and really get into. I tried watching that Yellowstone one, the modern cowboy one, and I watched it. I just could never quite connect with it. It sort of felt like an expensive soap, as in TV show. It just it's a bit silly, but maybe you have to just buy into these things. Maybe they're all silly when you really think about it, but that one's something about, I couldn't quite connect, and I think I got 2.5 seasons in, and I just couldn't connect with it. I don't know why. I love Western stuff. Maybe it's too much Western stuff going on for me, but I could just never get into it. So I tried to watch Heated Rivalry, and people were raving about it. So I thought, right, let me give it a go. Watch one episode. People were saying how good it is because it moves so quickly. But I sort of didn't enjoy that because I felt like it was moving fast and I wasn't sort of getting in. There was no jeopardy because they just kept meeting up. I don't know. I'm wrong because the show's massive, but I didn't get it. In fact, I posted a photo of me the other day, and someone as an Instagram story, and someone replied, just put Heated Rivalry. I don't know why. I wasn't dressed as a hockey player or in bed with a man, so I don't know what they must have seen, but they maybe I look like I don't know, maybe I look like, I don't think I didn't look like the two men I met in it. Anyway, film recommendations, series recommendations. I need to stop, that's why. I'm looking for something that means I can just switch off. I keep having these meetings with people in LA, the TV people, and they're so cool to talk to. But then they say, what are you watching at the minute? And my answer genuinely at the moment is Malcolm in the Middle. So I think they're slightly confused when I say that because they work in the industry. I should be saying something that they've made. But yeah, I can't get into something. If there's any recommendations, because people love to recommend a series, don't they? And every time someone recommends a series, they will say, give it a few episodes and understand that. But that's probably the case for anything, isn't it? Your mind will like build a routine to be like, oh, okay, at 9 o'clock at night, we sit down and we spend time with these characters. And that's like, so you get used to it and it becomes a routine, and that's nice. But I need to stop during the day, and I just can't figure out how to do it. I mean, I was supposed to stop yesterday. I've been feeling run down again, and then I ended up just filming the cameos. So I don't help myself, I guess. Maybe I'm to blame. But also maybe the fact that there's not a series that I'm into. Any recommendations? Let me know. I did have someone get in touch this week, and she asked if I could talk about how I got into comedy. Let me just take another sip of my tea. So I will do that. I will say one other thing that happened this week. And if you're interested in that, how I got into comedy, that'll be the second half of the show, which will start in about 4 minutes. One thing I did this week, as I said, I got a new phone. So I called up Vodafone. Now, I had an issue a few years ago. Have I spoken about this on the podcast? Sorry if I have. Basically, I had a really bad experience with Vodafone where they kept charging me double every month. This was years ago, maybe like 2018. And every time I'd go through the whole thing of trying to get on the phone to them, and then I would speak to somebody who apologised, said it won't happen again, it would happen again. It went on for months. Anyway, in the end, I complained so much, so I got sent to this. There's like 3 people who just, you get straight connected to. It's like Minority Report, just these sort of picture them just there like that, waiting for the special call. Anyway, they answer after like 3 or 4 rings. It's if I call Vodafone, it's very good they answer. Anyway, so I called up about getting an upgrade because I was looking online. I thought, let me just have a quick call. I think because I was right there by the laptop, it was probably 10 o'clock in the morning. I was like, let me just get this done. So I called, spoke to a guy. He was so nice. And he was very patient because as I was running around, I realised I couldn't find, this must have been Monday, I couldn't find my wallet. I realised I had to make a payment. I had to like pay for the device. Obviously you get like the SIM contract or whatever. It's an eSIM now. There's not even a SIM card. It's just an eSIM now. SIM cards are gone. Anyway, I didn't know that. I couldn't find my... So we were going through all these details. I was selecting the phone, selecting what I needed. We were doing all that. But I was panicking, going around the... Not running, but I was going around the house. Checking all my coat pockets. My bag, my jean pocket, everything I'd done over the weekend, trying to find this wallet. I couldn't find it anywhere. But in the end, I checked the car, and I couldn't see it anywhere. And in the end, he said, well, what we can do is we can take the amount off your next bill. So when a bill comes through, the money can come off it. And so you don't actually have to make a payment today, which is good to know. Anyway, I couldn't find the wallet for so long. He must have thought I was crazy, this guy, because I was just frantically looking around for the wallet. Then I would find something and I'd go, oh, I'll be looking for that. And then I was just telling him what I'd found and I would talk to him about it. And then there's like an old notebook, or those are little things I was finding, a pen that I liked. Anyway, I then found a tub of vitamins and I hadn't taken my vitamins that day. So I started taking loads of vitamins, but there was actually a few, and there's one I take 2 of. So see, you could hear me just like rustling through a bag. I think that's right, isn't it? Going through a bag, taking these pills. I can't find my wallet. He must have thought I was an absolute lunatic. Anyway, is lunatic okay to say? Where it comes from is the full moon, isn't it? It's like a lunar tick. Somebody like a werewolf is affected by the moon. So somebody was a lunatic. That's what it means. So I think we're fine. Because luna's still fine and tick's still fine. Like people with Tourette's have a tick. Lunatic, yeah. I once knew somebody who, I think it was their uncle, used to have to go and stay in a hotel whenever it was a full moon, because otherwise he'd have a big fight with his wife. He must have been a lunatic. But anyway, just today I called up. So what had happened was, on my way down to Portsmouth last Friday to do a gig, I went via Decathlon because I'd bought a load of ski stuff there and I had to return some stuff that I didn't use. And I went in with a box of stuff, and it feels so good to return something because you just feel like you've done a good thing. That also the money you get in feels like free money. But it just feels like such a nice thing to do. And I remember, because I'd gone in with this box of stuff, it's only one pair of salopettes. Must be a full moon tonight. One pair of salopettes and some gloves and thermal stuff I hadn't used. Anyway, I took it in with the box it got delivered in. And it felt so good just to like give them the box. There was no problem with the refund. They just gave me the refund. I gave them the stuff. And I walked away and I felt, do you ever have this? You've left something because you feel lighter. Not in like an actual, it's heavy, just you've got less things. Anyway, does that make any sense? Anyway, maybe, yeah, if you were to go to like return something at the post office and you send it off, when you leave, you go, oh, I've got rid of that. And it feels good, not just in a physical way, but it's gone and it's a job done. I felt that. But I thought, well, yeah, I've just given them a box of stuff. So when I couldn't find this wallet, I was thinking, was the voice inside my head that was saying, we feel a bit lighter here, that I might have left my wallet on the side? And I don't usually take my wallet around with me, but I was thinking, I might have taken my wallet in because it's a refund. They might have needed proof of the card and everything. So I called, I didn't know you could call shops. I don't know why. That felt to me that was something you shouldn't be able to do. I don't know why. In my head, I didn't realize you could just Google a shop and a location and their phone number was available. I didn't know that. I don't know why I didn't know. I thought that wasn't a thing, but you can. Anyway, this lovely French guy answered. I asked about it, and it didn't ring any bells with him, but he was like, I'll have a look. And then he was trying to reach for the lost property. And then he was like, can you describe the wallet? Richard Parker now is a few gardens away on someone's shed and just staring back at me. And I think he's coming in. Is he coming in? Something's made him jump. He just sort of took 3 or 4 steps towards me. He looks very cool, actually. Oh, he's coming. I think he's coming in. Yeah, I'll finish this anecdote before he gets in, then I'll give him some lunch. Anyway, he said, I said it's like a card holder rather than a wallet, and he's going through the box. And then he says, he goes, can you describe it, the wallet? And then I'm not thinking, well, it's a wallet, it's got my ID and my cards in. There's one clear way to let me know whether this is mine or not. You have my name. And then I sort of said that in a jokey way. Then he laughed and he realised, yeah, that is the right thing to do. Anyway, they've got it. that's that hot anecdote. Clip that. So how good does that feel? I know where my wallet is. It's been driving me crazy, and I'm going to go and pick it up tomorrow. Richard Parker's here at the door. So let me. I don't like to pause this podcast, so I am just going to have you listen to me do this. You okay? You back? Remember not to rub up against that mic stand. I'm going to give him food. Richard Parker mainly has dry food. So he gets 2 scoops every day. And what I've been doing is I throw the food. In the evening, he likes it if I throw the kibble down the hallway and he goes running after it. He's just rubbing up against my legs, making sure it doesn't do the mic stand again. And then what I've got is these little 3 plastic mice that I've got. I'll show you one on camera. It won't really help if you're only listening, but YouTube and Spotify if you want to watch. Okay, I'm going to put it in the bottom because otherwise it's going to be too loud for the podcast. He's got this tower that I put his food in. There you go. It's like, okay, I'll put a few there. He's got this sort of big tower because when he got shot, when he lost his eye, he couldn't go out. So it was a good way to keep him active, for him to get his food. So we got that tower, which I put the food in. And so I'm just going into a cupboard to put his food back. Then he's got these mice. I'll pick one up and I'll show you. So it's like that, like a plastic mouse with a bit of material around the outside. And then it's got 2 holes at the top. And you put dry kibble in there. Then I'll put them up around the house. up on a side or something. So he has to sort of hunt. Sometimes he won't do it, yet, he will actually go outside and just kill an innocent animal. And then come in and complain he doesn't want to, like, reach up and grab a plastic mouse off the table. Anyway, you might hear him in the background because, can you hear that? He has to pull the kibble down. Keeps him active. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we wanted to talk about how I got into comedy. Well, somebody wanted to, and as I say, any requests, let me know. That tea's definitely cold now. So I first got into comedy I always wanted to do it. Even when I was at university, I would write out sets. I became obsessed with it. And I think I spoke about this before, that there were comedy clubs near me when I was growing up, but I didn't know I could ever go to them. It felt like this world I wasn't allowed into. I don't know why. Anyway, I used to like write these sets, and there was actually a documentary that came out on TV while I was at university that was shown during the day, and it was somebody around Kingston, which is where I went to university, and he had started doing stand-up, and it was sort of following him, and it was blowing my mind. I was watching this thing. It was just the middle of the day. Obviously, I'm at university. Then I was great at watching TV. Anyway, I would write them out, but it was all too... I wasn't like jokes. I don't know how to do it. Anyway, years later, Twitter came around, and I got Twitter, and I would write and post jokes on there, and then every now and again, some would go, I guess, viral, or I got a bit of a following. People would like the jokes, and it was all just like jokes. It was like teaching me. You'd read all these people were doing the same thing. Peter Serafinovich. I mean, the newspaper delivery man's going to love that one. Peter Serafinovich. Peter, do you know him? He's great. He's one of those guys that are going to sound silly, but if you know him, you know him. If not, you would know him from, like, he's their friend in Shaun of the Dead. I'm trying to think of like what, but he does a character. Peter, he's in loads. Is Guardians of the Galaxy, John Wick, Star Wars. If you don't know him, he does. Brian Butterfield is one of the characters he does. Obviously, that's not as known as Star Wars, obviously, but he's. Hopefully, even people who are big fans of his will understand he is the type of person, if you know him, you know him. But despite the fact he does loads, some people, he might pass them by. Anyway, the name is, and I can never say it, Peter Serafinovich. Anyway, what was I waiting him for? Oh yeah, he would write tweets. He was good on Twitter at the start. So I just started writing these jokes, and it would be like, it doesn't matter. Anyway, they were silly. Okay, let me do one or two. It was stuff like, my parents live in a bungalow, which is nice, but it does have one major flaw. Or my mum makes a mean dinner. Last night's was alphabetic spaghetti that spelt out "you're adopted." Stuff like that. Anyway. People would retweet them, and then what happened was somebody messaged me and asked if they could buy some of the jokes off me. And it's so crazy when you want to do comedy, you get so in your own head that it was that moment that made me realise, oh yeah, I want to do stand-up and I'm writing these jokes. I could just tell these jokes on stage. So he'd offered me like, not much money for this joke anyway. Even then I thought, well, I could sell this joke once, or if I started doing comedy, I could tell that joke every night and I could get paid loads of times for telling that same one joke again and again and again. So not obviously, not throughout that 20 minutes, just retelling that one joke. I mean, every night you can tell that joke and you can get paid. So I thought, oh, that's what I should do. I should go and do the one-liners. So my plan was to start doing one-liners, but not be a one-liner comedian. It was just to do it, to get an in, and then I could build up and I could start get the confidence on stage, and then I could start telling the longer jokes, which is what happened. I booked in a night. It was called Comedy Virgins. It was in Vauxhall at a pub called the Cavendish. And I don't know, I messaged them, I guess. Probably was using Facebook then. And they booked me in, but you had to bring a friend. That was the rule. You can only perform, because otherwise, a lot of these, when you start, it's called open mic. And they're in these rooms above pubs or just in the middle of pubs. Because they're not in the middle of pubs, but, just on the main floor of the pub, just sort of, people might not know there's going to be comedy on, then they sort of, not often, but sometimes they would get annoyed. Anyway, room below a pub, anything like that. So what can happen is sometimes the audience is just made up of the other comedians who are on, because sometimes at open mic, you're only doing 5 minutes. So it could be that there's like 18 of you on, and nobody wants to go on first and nobody wants to go on last. But the rule is that you're supposed to stay and watch the whole thing, because otherwise the last part hasn't got an audience. So what they do is you have to bring a friend. So I brought my friend Barry along, and we went there. And then what happened was, my friend Carolyn at the time, she was German. I'd met her on a train, and she was an au pair. And she called me to let me know that the family she was au pairing for had kicked her out. She was so lovely, but she got home one day and there was a message, and it was like a note to her saying, pack your bags and go. Awful. Anyway, she called me that she was like homeless, basically. So I thought, oh, well, she's going through that in another country. Me going on stage and telling jokes for 5 minutes is probably not that bad, really, in comparison. And I thought, I have to do this and I can help Carolyn. Anyway, it just made it easier. Went up there, told jokes like that, I think for 5 minutes. Yeah, that was it, really. I remember a few other people that night were all saying, this is my first gig, and every time it would get a big applause. So that was it. I went up, and the first thing I said was, this is my first gig. Everyone claps, and I said, thanks. That always gets an applause. And I was like, oh, that's, I'd come up with something in the moment, and I liked that. So it made me feel like, oh, okay, I can, first thing I've said is an ad lib. Maybe I'm going to be okay. Anyway, it was just, what happens was, if you were not mad and a nice person, people would offer you a gig off the back of it. Someone would say, I run a gig, why don't you come and do that one? And that just kept happening. So every gig would lead to at least one, maybe two, maybe three, and the ones that didn't lead to anything, it would average out, because some led to 3 shows. And then I would work during the day at a job I hated, and then I would get on a train and go into London and do that. And then somebody said, my friend Dom said, who I'd met through comedy at a gig in Reading, I think he beat me in Reading New Act of the Year or something. He came first, I came second. We became friends, and he said, should we go to Edinburgh together during the Fringe Festival? This festival that happens every year in August. All the comedians go up to Edinburgh, and it's like journalists review it, and you can get nominated, and TV people are up there. It's sort of the way to get seen. Not at our level, really. It's only when you do your first solo show. So him and I did a split show where we just did like 20 minutes each or 25 minutes each for like a show that was around an hour. And that's sort of what you do as you're sort of building up material. But when I was there, somebody messaged me. This is up in Edinburgh. I didn't even know this festival existed. Somebody messaged me while I was there. Would you come and do my gig? It was a similar thing that happens in London, basically. Somebody had to pull out of a show, and it was like a constant thing every night happening at this place called the Pleasance Courtyard, which is like a big thing in Edinburgh. The Pleasance. Anyway, I went and did that every night. So now I was doing like 2 shows, and I was doing R1, and then I would do this other one, and it was me doing 20 minutes, but I'd only been going for not even a year. Anyway, I went to do this other show, someone said, I've had a dropout. Could you come and do my show tomorrow at, I don't know what time. It can be any time in Edinburgh. I think there's some stat where during every hour from like 4 o'clock onwards, I think there's something like, it's over 200 shows happening at one moment every hour. It's everywhere. It's crazy. Every like restaurant or bar and purpose-built venues, or even sometimes somewhere outside and on a park. Everything, there's just gigs happening and shows happening everywhere. Anyway, wow. I've just looked out and there is a huge fox outside. Let me see if I can show that on camera. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it. Is that going to want to stay on me? Can you see that out there? Does that make sense? I'll see if I can zoom in. No, that's moved the camera up. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but there is a huge fox out there. Oh, he's looking around. Hopefully you're seeing that. Wow. It's like an Alsatian. Also, sorry, I can hear like a child crying. So sorry if you're picking that up. This is more chaotic than usual, isn't it? Anyway, I went to do this other gig. They'd said we'd had a dropout. Could you do this other show? And when I went there, it was a bit of a tough audience. But then I cannot get over the size of that fox. It is crazy. Anyway, sorry, there's a lot going on here. I can hear like a child. They're fine, but they're like being a nuisance with their parents, I think. And I can't get over the size of that fox. Let me take a photo on my phone in case I didn't capture that correctly with the camera. Mind you, I've got this new phone now, so it does do an 8x zoom. Let's see what that does for us here. Size of it. Wow. That is so cool. He is massive. Let me zoom in here. Just zooming in. I will I'll overlay that in the video. So if you're watching, you'll see it. And if you're listening, blimey. Wow. It's like a wolf. I've upgraded him from an Alsatian to a wolf. That is huge. He just sat up on the top of the shed. Just sat up. Richard Parker, can I show you this? Look. I'm going to pick him up and show him. Look, and let me pick you up. Can you see that over there? Look. Look, over there. Look. See it? No? There, look. Look at that. He's seen it now. Oh, yeah, he's seen it now. What do you think of that? Is that the biggest fox you've ever seen? Yeah, he's going to be pretty obsessed with that now. Yeah. Well, so am I. Can't blame him. You don't want to go out, do you? It's looking at me. The fox is looking at me. Let me try and film that. Wow. Oh yeah, here we go. God, he actually looks pretty mean the way he's looking at me. It's pretty intimidating. Yeah. Can't believe that. Anyway, you want to go out? Are you crazy? Okay, I'm going to let him out. Okay, the fox is going. The fox has actually walked away. Okay, go, but don't go far because I'm scared to leave the house with him around. Go on then, if you're going out, but... No, not sure. Sorry, this is really... I'm dealing with a lot here. Richard Parker, the fox, and my own brain. So I went to this other gig, and... by the way, if you're worried about that, I've heard that foxes and cats don't fight because foxes don't fight even themselves because they can't afford to be injured. Because they need to hunt for food and scavenge for food. Not hunt, I guess scavenge. So he's I think he's safe. He'll outrun a fox. He chases squirrels. The squirrels outrun him, and he'll outrun a fox. So everyone gets along. Apart from the fact they're chasing each other. Anyway. When I got to this other show, it was a bit difficult and it was a weird one. But I remember somebody walked in. This man walked in. And a few of the comedians started talking to each other. as if to say, this is somebody. So I thought it was a reviewer. So I thought I'd better have a good show. But the audience were strange. I remember there was a man wearing dungarees, but not a lot else. I think he was Canadian, and he was a bit over the top. He was being a bit deliberately difficult. So I just went up there and I said something like, okay, I've got 5 minutes. Why don't I just tell my jokes? If you like them, laugh. If you don't then we'll all get out of here. Something like that. I don't know where that confidence came from, but I'd said it. Anyway, I did the joke, and it turns out afterwards, this guy he worked for an agency called Off the Curb, which is now my agent. So you know how the story ends. Anyway, I didn't know the industry at all. It made no sense to me. So he spoke to me for a bit. I didn't understand. I went back to my friends who I was living with up in Edinburgh, the three of us, me, Dominic and Patrick. And I said, oh, I did this gig and there was a guy there from Off the Cuff. And then they were like, do you mean Off the Curb? And I was like, maybe that's it. Yeah. Then they showed me the website with all these acts. It was like Michael McIntyre and Jack D and Kevin Bridges and all these big acts they looked after. Alan Carr, loads. Anyway. It made sense. Then I didn't know what to do with that. Then about a month later, I got an email. Would I like to come and do a show? And so there was a show on with some of their bigger acts, and I just went on in the middle. Went home, didn't think much of it. Went and did another. They invited me to another one. And then I was on the way home, and I got an email from them saying, are you free to meet up for a coffee next week? And then I was like, oh, now I realise what's happening. They want to sign me. So I went for a meeting. Then they offered to sign me. And that was it really for me. I just, in fact, what did happen was what they do is they don't officially announce that they've signed you at first. They give you a load of gigs. You can go out there with no pressure of being the new act. Also, they don't have to let anyone know that in case it all goes wrong, that they've signed you. Anyway, they would put all these gigs in and then they would put the amount, like a money amount next to them. And about 6 months in, someone who worked there messaged me and said, you haven't been invoicing for those gigs. And I said, I didn't know that was, I thought you were telling me what I would get paid when you do sign me. So it meant I could leave my job and I could, because I had 6 months worth of gigs to invoice for. And it also, I found out I was getting paid to do it. So that was it. And then it was going around, taking every gig you can. And then I became friends with a guy called Sean, and he was going on tour, and he said, will you support me? So now you get to do solid shows for months, which pay nicely. So you do those. And then it built up until Michael McIntyre asking me to support him. I'd started posting the videos online. Obviously, COVID happened, and I didn't do videos during COVID, but people did. If I would probably have been different if I had, because I think people were following each other more and faster during COVID because they were like looking for entertainment and something to do. But I didn't start the videos until 2023, so definitely didn't ride that COVID wave. In fact, I was ill. We've hit the 53-minute mark, so that's for the lady on her commute. What happened was, sort of slightly during COVID, but a bit after it, when people were still getting ill with COVID, I was ill with it and I had to cancel a load of gigs. It must have been early 2023. That was it. I was ill. And I guess it was some sort of COVID. And I had to cancel a gig in Cardiff at the Glee Club. And then somebody tweeted me angrily, like, if you're not going to show up, you could have at least let your fans know. And I was like, I hadn't started posting videos yet. So I was like, I replied, I said, I'll be honest, I didn't think I had any fans, so I didn't know. And then he was nice about it, but I was like, oh, maybe I should get fans. That'd be cool. So also because I couldn't gig because I was ill, I just thought, what if I start doing videos online? So I'd played around a bit before, but I started posting these videos. I thought I was going to do one every day for a month to see what worked. But the first one I did sort of went viral. So I had to change that plan quickly to sort of make sure I was doing the right thing every day. Then I just posted once a week for a year. Went on tour with Michael McIntyre. kept posting a video every week. Announced a tour a year later. It was only a few dates. Kept posting the videos. More people wanted to come along, so we just kept putting more shows on. And then, and that was it, yeah. And then suddenly more TV stuff starts to come in. So I did Live at the Apollo. I did World's Most Dangerous Road. Suddenly I'm going to like Kyrgyzstan. It's sort of, I think making sure that you're funny is the main thing, but being like a person that people want to work with, I guess, not being annoying or rude, then it just sort of, it can work out. But I don't know what's going to happen next though, because putting out a video every week, and I still want to do that. I really like that. And now I've sort of, the potential is that I'm making this sitcom in America, so I'm sort of putting everything into that, because what I always wanted to do, and when I would be on the train and go into London, I would fall asleep on the train. I'd be so tired, and someone would wake me up in London to let me know I was there, and I'd be going off to do a gig. So I was getting up at 7 in the morning, working till 5, getting on the train, going to London, getting home at 1, and just doing that, really. And every time thinking, just think one day maybe you'll make a sitcom or you'll make a film. That was the one thing that kept me going. So hopefully that's going to happen. We'll see. But yeah, that's how I got into comedy. And up until this point, I didn't do right up to this point. Started a podcast with a friend. He had to stop doing it, so I did an episode on my own. People seem to like it, so I've kept going. Now you're right up to date. Anyway, the tour will go over, as I said, New Zealand and Australia in May. Then, if the American visa comes through later in the year, I'll be touring in America. But yeah, so I'm just seeing what happens next, basically. Anyway, that's it. That's taken us right up to an hour. Thank you for listening. Sorry about the whole getting distracted by the fox, getting distracted by Richard Parker, and getting distracted by my own mind. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed it, just tap the 5-star review thing. Spotify's good at it. Apple, if you're listening on Apple, and I know people are, they're just not hitting that review. You just got to tap it. But it might be that you're in a different country, so it's not showing up for me. But in the UK, just a tap. That's all you got to do. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to write anything if you don't want to. Just tap. That's all you have to do. But I think more people listen on Spotify, I think. Anyway. Also YouTube. Thank you. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like, subscribe, do all that stuff. It just helps. It's algorithm. I don't fully understand it. Anyway. Thanks for listening. And this has been Had Worse Mondays. And of course, as always, I'll see you next Monday. Bye.